welcome back everybody to week 4, I think, of the Game Time Sports podcast. I'm Caden Simpson, joined with Jace Perrett. Hopefully the audio is better this week. I have a new microphone. We're trying to fix our production, make it top quality for all you guys who watch every week. But we have a few topics to talk about today. So basically, we'll be going through the same format as usual. We'll go round up, roundup, then what's cooking, what's hot, and then we'll go to deep under the glass, then knock knock, who's there, what's hot, and then around the corner, and then we'll wrap it up. So we have a few deep topics to talk about today. Jace, you have any input before we get back and get right into it?
Nope, let's get into it.
All right, let's get into it. So, riled up roundup coming up next. All right. So, in the riled up roundup, we have three major topics coming out of NFL free agency, three very large acquisitions over the last 3 days. First one we're going to discuss Russell Wilson going to Pittsburgh on a league minimum deal for 1 year. Jace, what do you see? What is the plan in Pittsburgh?
Well, the plan in Pittsburgh is to win the Super Bowl. We saw this when they signed Patrick Queen. I really didn't like the Deontay Johnson trade. They could have gotten more value than a corner who's going to get cut, probably. He was awful last year, Dante Jackson. If you don't know him, you probably don't because he is awful. And I like the Russell Wilson signing. He's infinitely better than Kenny Pickett. He threw 20 more touchdowns than him in only a couple more games, which is kind of embarrassing if you're Kenny Pickett. But yeah, I really do like the signing for Seattle or Pittsburgh, excuse me. I feel like they're going to win some games next year.
Yep, I think it's a really good, acquisition for them because I think that Russell Wilson could kind of fit good in that offense. They have a lot, they have a few weapons, they have definitely a good defense on the other side. Mike Tomlin's a great coach. So I think that's better than him because I think that just the Broncos weren't a good fit for
No, they
him.
weren't.
It did
Sean
not
Payton
work
was
out.
not really the best coach in the world last year, we saw. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on. So Saquon Barkley, he leaves the Giants, goes across the division to join the Philadelphia Eagles. The couple a couple years ago were in the Super Bowl. So I honestly don't entirely like this signing by the Eagles. I'm sure it's cool and all, but they didn't have necessarily a lot of cap space, and you want to help out that defense. They had so many struggles last year in the secondary and at the linebacker position. They had a lot of struggles and they needed to add to that. And offensively, when it comes to skill position players, they don't have a problem at all. They have so many skilled players that are incredible. And at running back, they could have just re-signed DeAndre Swift for a much cheaper contract that would have been, I mean, and if they used him well, he would have been, DeAndre Swift probably would have been one of the best running backs in the league, but they didn't
Oh,
use him
yeah,
very well.
certainly.
So they could have brought him back for so much cheaper. And they also, I mean, without DeAndre Swift or Saquon Barkley, I mean, at running back, you still have Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott and Rashad Penny and Jalen Hurts, who's also a running quarterback. So I think they still would have been fine. And last year they didn't even run the ball. Like they took away
Yeah.
they didn't run the football. So signing a big running back, it doesn't help you run the football if you don't run the football. Like you have to actually call plays that run the
I
football.
know. Yeah.
I mean,
Brian Johnson was awful, man. It was bad.
sure, signing a really good running back is good, but you have to use them.
Will
Like,
they use him? Can they use
will
him?
they
That's the
use him?
question.
Who knows? We'll catch up with that in September or in October or whatever month we talk about it. But you got anything to add to Saquon?
Yeah, I'm really not too fond of this signing. They could have got someone who's gonna produce probably not just as much, but not be a lot cheaper and still have a good year. I feel like this was kind of a stupid signing. You could have gotten this similar production out of DeAndre Swift. I mean, yeah, Saquon is certainly a better player and running back, but you could have really gotten the same production out of DeAndre Swift. I don't like this move here. I feel like the Eagles are having an okay free agency due to the fact that they're bringing in guys like Bryce Huff and CJ Gardner Johnson, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, with Saquon, I just feel like I don't know how long he's gonna last. He's a 27-year-old
Yeah.
running back. Running backs don't usually make it past 28. So this contract is an ad when he's 30. So when Saquon's 30, I don't know if they have anything left in the tank. But we're moving on. But we have a huge free agency, not really a free agency signing, but a re-sign in Chris Jones in Kansas City. The Chiefs and Chris Jones have came to a deal, 5 years, 95 million. Incredible for the Chiefs and Chris Jones. What does this show about the relationship Chris Jones has in Kansas City?
Well, this shows that he loves that city. He loves winning championships and making his money there. I mean, I don't blame him. The Chiefs are all in on this three-peat. We can tell from this offseason. They're working hard, and I expect them to be maybe even back in the Super Bowl, but they're definitely going to win a lot of games like they do every year. We should see nothing changing there. I think Chris Jones will continue to be solid because some people I've heard argue say, well, 5 years, this much money, 95 million guaranteed. What are we doing? We have 5 years, a guy who's going to be 34, 35 by the end of the deal. What people aren't understanding here is big men last longer than like a corner per se. Corners usually regress around 29. Elite defensive tackles, they usually regress around 31, 32. And Chris Jones is so good. I feel like he could still at least be a really good starter in even his final couple years on the deal.
Well, if we look at Calais Campbell, who is a free agent right now as well, but he's like 37, I'm pretty sure, and he's still a solid
I
defensive
think he
lineman
might
in
be
the
older than
NFL.
37 now.
Like
That dude
30,
is
maybe 38. I'm not quite
39.
100% sure, but he's still a solid.
He played when the dinosaurs were around.
Yeah, I mean, especially when he played for Jacksonville, Baltimore, and then Atlanta last year. So he's been a solid defensive lineman. And I mean, honestly, more than solid. He's been above average, and
Yeah,
he's
really good
at
defensive
38.
lineman.
So Chris Jones, at the end of this deal, he'll still be under 38.
Uh-huh.
So
Way under it.
yeah, I just think it's a really good signing for the Chiefs to bring this guy back because he really basically won them the Super Bowl. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
you can make a case for him to win MVP in the Super Bowl because some of those plays that he disrupted
No
in
one
the
else is doing that
backfield,
but him.
like he basically won that game, which was incredible. And he is a piece like in the secondary for the Chiefs, they would be fine without Snead. They have Trent McDuffie, who's
Yeah, they
arguably
wouldn't.
better than
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
and they draft really well at that position. And then at defensive line, they have been drafting really good recently with this and stuff right now at defensive line. But Chris Jones is just such a game changer. Like he just brings
Oh
something
yeah.
else to the table that nobody else does. Like a few years ago, had the highest win rate at defensive tackle with being double teamed every play. So he's incredible. Keep him for a long time. Yep. So that's pretty much all we got with Chris Jones. Jason, got anything to add?
No, I think we're good there.
All right. So that'll bring us to the end of Rod Up Roundup. Moving on. What's cooking? Hot take of the week. All right. So we have one topic, a big one. March Madness is around the corner. And Jace, what is your dark horse March Madness team to win the chip?
Okay, so I got two things to say here. I feel like St. John's, if they can beat Seton Hall and get in the tournament, would be a dark horse for a big run. I feel like they're a really good team. They just beat a really good Gonzaga team, who I'll get to in a second. But this St. John's team looks really good this year. I've been impressed with them, and it sucks that they might not get to make the tournament. So don't be surprised if they make the tournament as an 11 or 12 seed and they go on to maybe a Final Four appearance because this team is truly incredible. They're a great basketball team. But the Gonzaga Bulldogs they've been great in down the stretch this year. They started off pretty struggling a lot, but once conference plays came around, they've been winning a lot of games, and I expect this team to have a deep run in March Madness. This is one of those years, Don't expect them to do much. I mean, they're a one seed every year, and you're like, oh, well, they'll never win anything. But maybe the year where they're not a one seed, they go out there and prove to the world that they can win big games. And I really do think they will. This team is great. This Gonzaga team has just played so great down the stretch. Yes, I get they lost to St. John's just a couple of days ago, but I feel like in March Madness, they're just getting this team's just red hot right now, and they're going to win several games in this tournament.
Yeah, and maybe them not being a number one seed takes off some pressure, from
Oh
being
yeah,
number one, playing a 16 seed and not trying to be upset and
yeah.
then playing whatever they play after that. But being a number one seed just adds a lot of pressure to you.
Also,
So my dark horse to win the natty right now, Nebraska. I know they're a 9 seed, but they are also a 9 seed. So they are not really expected to be top of March Madness, but there's a few reasons why they could do it this year. Well, one, I mean, they haven't been there since 2014, but they already did end that drought because they made it. But they have a few good wins this year over Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, and Wisconsin. And that they'll be a tough out in the tournament. Having big wins over those four really, really competitive teams this season it's incredible. And if you look at the offensive side of the basketball, they have three players averaging at least 11.4 points per game and 5.8 rebounds per game. And they have several outside threats. So they are really doing really good when it comes to shooting the
oh
basketball.
yeah, they're a really good shooting team. I like what I see from them in that department.
And they're led by
They're good.
Kisei Tomingaga. He's known as the Japanese Steph Curry, which if you have Steph Curry anywhere in your name, you must be pretty good.
Yeah, you
So
must be.
he's doing awesome for them. And there's been a lot of patience needed with Fred Hoiberg's tenure. He's been with the Cornhuskers for a little bit now, but the patience may pay off. I know they're a 9 seed, but they're still going under the radar, and they have a lot of star players on that team. And this might be the time. This might be the time that Nebraska gets it done. Last year, we saw a 9 seed go all the way to the Final Four. So who knows what we're gonna see happen? Jace, anything to add?
Not really. I feel like I made my point a little bit when I said, yeah, they're a great shooting team, but I definitely see where you're coming from. I do see this team making it very least like the second round, know, and maybe they pull off an upset against the one seed and go on a run. We'll see.
We'll see here in a few weeks. Also, actually, we'll get to that in a minute. Stay tuned. We'll be there in a minute. That will bring us to the end of the what's cooking, what's hot segment, or the what's cooking hot take of the week segment. And we're going to move on to deep under the glass. All right. So, our first topic when it comes to deep under the glass, who is the best team in the or who is the best team in the NBA? There's a lot of arguments you can make for this. And right now, I'm gonna say the Boston Celtics, and I don't think it's even close. I think it's the Bolton. I think it's the Boston Celtics by a landslide. They have the best record in the NBA at 50-14 by 5 games. They have the best point differential at 11.1. They have the best division record at 15-1. They've only lost one game versus their division. They have the best record at home, 29-3. They have the best record away at 21-11. They've won 13 of their last 15 games, by a lot of them by by double
Yeah.
digits. They are absolutely incredible right now. And if they do not win the finals this year, we're gonna have a lot of questions because they are on fire right now because they've been hot all year and they're staying hot with about a couple months left in the season. It's incredible what they're doing right now, and I don't think there's anybody even close to them right now.
Well, I'm going to have to heavily disagree with you. I think they're the second best team in the NBA right now. The Denver Nuggets are way better. It's like the Kansas City Chiefs of the NBA, you know? You're like all year maybe hoping, hey, maybe someone's going to beat them, but it's just going to be like, okay, well, we kind of knew it was inevitable. I mean, they've beat the Celtics twice already, and I don't really see how Nikola Jokic isn't the best player in the world right now. He's easily the MVP and the best player in basketball. And I mean, Jamal Murray, he's having another great year. This team is just so well rounded. They have great guards, they have great forwards, they have a great bench. And I just don't see anyone who's going to beat this team in a 4 times in a 7-game series as of right now.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the Celtics. I just feel like, I mean, they've had a few in that 13 game stretch, they had a few losses, but I think in a 7 game, you're playing them for 7 games and you have to go against Jason Tatum and the other stars they have in that team in a 7 game series. I don't think they're gonna win. I don't think, I mean, like I mean not win. I don't think they're gonna lose. Like, I like the Nuggets. I think they're pretty good. I think they're up there for one of the best teams in the NBA, with obviously Jokic, who's probably going to win another MVP this year. But I feel like with the Celtics also having probably the best defense in the NBA as well, and defense hasn't really been a big thing in the NBA. And recently we don't usually see them play very good defense, so their defense is really good. And I think, and we also saw them when they played an incredible shooter. Obviously Curry and Jokic are different players, but they held Stephen Curry to 0 for 9 on 3 pointers. And so I think that they could slow down that offense of the Nuggets, especially in a 7 game series. I think they could step up and really take them away. Who knows? I don't know. I don't tell the future, but we'll
I
see.
do.
Jace, you
The
want to add
Nuggets will
anything?
be champions, and I guarantee that.
You guarantee them back-to-back champs?
Back to back.
Well, maybe we'll see several sports with back-to-back champions this year. We will see. All right. So another topic for Deep Under the Glass, a shorter, smaller topic right now, but we did get news earlier that Garrett Cole, pitcher for the New York Yankees, is going to be out for 2 months for the first 2 months of the season due to an throwing elbow injury. What does this do to the New York Yankees rotation?
Well, this harms their rotation a lot. I mean, Garrett Cole's still obviously one of the best pitchers in the Major League Baseball. But I want to say this team, might be a little below 500 without him before he comes back. We'll see what happens. Maybe they can get on a roll without him, which is what they need to do. Because if they can play, if they can even be just a little bit above 500 without him, I feel like they can just go on a roll with him in that pitching rotation. And I really feel like having him is just such a huge player. And this is a huge blow for the first couple months of the Yankee season. But as long as they can keep up in the wild card race for the first couple months and at least be in the mix, I think they can certainly get into the playoffs, even when your best pitcher's out for the first 2 months, and that's something that is huge to overcome, even though baseball is so long of a season, because he could maybe not even start out playing good. Maybe it could take him a month to, and play good baseball. We'll have to see.
Yeah, well, Garrett Cole is that solid piece in that starting rotation. They were trying to go out and get Blake Snell or somebody else to add their rotation. Obviously, a year
Yeah.
ago, they got Carlos Rodon, who that didn't turn out very well. Last year, he didn't have a very good season. Spring has not started bright for him. But losing him is going to be tough on that rotation. They're going to have to get something figured out. I know they have that star-powered offense in the bullpen. They looks to be better than it was in last couple of years.
Yeah.
But that starting rotation, they're going to have to find something. They're going to have to just hold down the fort for 2 months. Cole will get back. We'll save everybody's lives. So we'll see what happens when he gets back, and maybe he'll be back earlier. They're not 100% sure on the
It could
injury.
be 1 month at the very least, probably two. 1 to 2 is what they're saying.
So May, June is usually probably when we'll see him. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else you got?
Nope. Let's head on to the next segment.
All right. Moving on to the next segment. Knock, knock. Who's there? What's hot? Welcome back to Knock Knock. Who's there? What's hot? We got two topics to talk about. First of all, Kirko Chains is headed to Atlanta on a 4-year contract. So Kirk Cousins moving out of Minnesota, going to Atlanta. So Jace, what does Atlanta have in store for them next year on offense?
Atlanta has in store for them a top 10 or 5 offense. I mean, with the skill positions and talent they already have, adding a quarterback that doesn't suck is really going to help them a lot. And especially a quarterback that's actually good and a head coach that might not be a moron and actually might use the players he's given. And I really just think the Falcons are easily the best team in the NFC South right now. And a division championship is anything but again is it can't a division championship for them is obviously anything but a guarantee. However, I feel they're easily the best team in this division. It's theirs to lose, even though the Bucks are still going to be good. The Panthers are getting better, which is like not much, obviously, and the Saints could beat them a time or two. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be good for Atlanta. I really do. I mean, they haven't had a good quarterback in a few years with those weapons that they've had. Obviously, they had Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ritter, and Taylor Heineke in the last 3 years or last 2 years. So it hasn't gone very well. So you put Kirk Cousins, who we've seen in the past, when you give Kirk Cousins weapons, he is very, very good quarterback. Honestly, if he didn't tear his Achilles last year, he might have won the MVP. But we'll see what he can do in Atlanta with Drake London and Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson and that pretty darn good offense that they have over there. All right. So moving on, T. Higgins. So the Bengals did franchise tag him, but he has requested a trade from Cincinnati. Where do you think he's going to go?
Well, I think he's going to stay right in Cincinnati. I feel like this trade request won't be much. I get he is disgruntled with their organization, but maybe Jamar and Joe Burrow convince him to stay because they're losing pieces on offense. They could lose Tyler Boyd. And if they lose him, then they're going to have to put a lot of work into getting him back. But if he does leave, we already saw Calvin Ridley sign with the Titans, and they're off the chopping block. So maybe we see him go to Jacksonville, possibly. Obviously, they got Gabe Davis, but that receiving core could use some more help. Maybe even New England could be an interesting spot, or hell, even Green Bay could be a great team for him to go to.
Yeah, the Chiefs need a receiver, but I don't think they would send him to the Chiefs just because of that rivalry they've got going on.
No, they wouldn't. They would
they
never in a million years.
but we have seen a lot of players go to rivalries in the last few days. So we'll see what happens there. I do think they'll probably end up trading him. I don't think he'll play on the franchise tag. I think he wants more money, and I think that he wants to go to another team. But we'll see. So we did only have two topics for deep under the glass, or for knock knock. Who's there? What's hot? But we're gonna add another one, like you brought up just a few seconds ago. Calvin Ridley, that guy. He went to Tennessee on a 4-year contract. Getting him with DeAndre Hopkins, Will Levis, obviously a quarterback, and
Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard. That offensive system is going to be pretty darn good, isn't it, Jace?
Oh yeah, they got a lot of weapons now. I still don't think this team's going to win many games. They don't have too much talent on defense. Brian Callahan is certainly a downgrade from Mike Vrabel. And the O-line is still god awful, and I feel like that will really be their downfall. But Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard should really help with the development of quarterback Will Levis. I loved what I saw from him in his rookie year. He looked amazing at times. And I feel like Calvin Ridley is really going to help elevate his game. While, like I've said, I don't think the Titans are going to be any good next year. I think they'll be a bottom feeder team, but I think that they're going to show a lot of flashes offensively. And if they can get that defense and offensive line figured out over the next few years, who knows? The Titans could become a really good team yet again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, with offensive line issues, Tony Pollard didn't do too great last year with a pretty good offensive line in Dallas. So taking away and put him in behind a bad offensive line, he may be much worse.
He could be.
But we'll see that. We'll see what happens. I could be completely wrong, and he runs for 1,000 yards. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But that will bring us to the end of this segment. But moving on to our final segment of the year, of the day, around the corner.
What's coming up?
All right, so around the corner. So not much. I mean, it will be much here soon. March Madness is about to start here soon.
Big
It's going to start.
conference tournaments going on, by the way. Make sure to watch
Yes.
those. A
Yes.
little bit of a preview for March Madness.
Yeah, so we got big conference games going on right now. So stay tuned, watch that. We'll bring all the updates. And March Madness, the main, everybody cares about tournament starts on the 21st of March with the round of 64. Starting then, our bracket predictions will be out next Wednesday for all of you to see and judge and tell us that we don't know what we're talking about. And yeah, so Jace, you got anything to add on March Madness and the tournaments right now?
I want to say make sure to tune in for that bracket selection that we're going to do because we're going to make some good picks and hopefully they can be right. But something I also want to touch on is who's going to be the national champion. Obviously, we've already went over our dark horses, but just a little bit of a preview. Who do you think is going to be the national champion as of now?
Well, I actually don't know because I have to go do my research. I have to go look at all the statistics and make a good choice. I'm not 100% sure who I'm going for. I know that Kansas will not be there. I think Houston has a good shot. North Carolina has a good shot. I think one of those teams, and I don't know if I can really make a solid prediction right now because we gotta save it for next week, get people thinking. We can't give it all out, but I think there's a few people or a few teams that can get it.
I think it's either Houston or UConn's tournament to lose as of now, but
I do
my research.
I was not thinking. I forgot about UConn. UConn is also up there. Those three are big, but we'll see what conclusions I come to next week.
Yes, we will.
All right. Anything else
Nope.
to wrap up or to look forward to?
Well, I mean, obviously more free agency stuff coming up. We might get some more NFL draft information. I know pro days are around the corner, so we'll get to see what happens there. And I think that's about it, isn't it, Caden?
Yes, that is about it. So that's going to bring us to the end of week 4 of the podcast. Thank you, everybody who decided to tune in today. I know this was a little bit of a shorter video. We really, outside of March Madness about to happen and all of the crazy signings and stuff in the NFL, hasn't been much going on in the sports world, really. So we're just trying to give you everything that we got. But that'll be the end of the video. Of course, I'm Caden Simpson, Jace Perrette. Our social medias have been on the screen the whole time, so you can look those up and follow us. You can also follow Game Time Sports Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to get updates, videos, rewatch clips from our podcast that Jace is going to post. Jace is our media manager, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. If you have any complaints about the media, which I know people have had before, make sure to come with me and I'll try to fix it.
Call him up. He'll be wanting to listen to your feedback. All right. So yeah, that's the end. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and comment any suggestions, anything you disagree with. We will be battling you in the comments, and we might have live streams where we can battle you in person, or not in person, live, and that'll be fun. So peace out, everybody. We'll see you later.